Well, we've staged all the bills in the house.
Okay.
Pretend we're in the Senate.
Just kidding.
I apologize for that. Okay, so to create a new calendar, I'm just going to start from the calendar tab here. These are calendars that we created yesterday just for the overview demo, so we can ignore those. But this gives you a good view of your dashboard and what it will look like when you have calendars. I'm not sure what's supposed to display in that sub. I think we might be waiting on some feedback from you all. So if there's data that you would like to show down here, we can certainly add that. To create a new calendar, you would click the new calendar button. Pick your session day, your calendar day. I'm making this up. From here, you have the ability to load from previous calendar. I'm not going to do that just because the data that's in there is probably not anything we want to mess with right now since it's just been test data. So we'll start from scratch. I'll select all, but here you have all your calendars listed. I'm just going to select all so you can kind of see what that looks like. And click save. And that creates your line item here for Friday, May 1st for the 5th legislative day and the 5th calendar day. And this shows that your your calendar is in draft mode. So if you click your action menu here, you can click edit. And it is the green for the House and what color for the yellow for the Senate? That sounds familiar. But it'll look exactly the same in the Senate, just yellow. Up at the top here, you have your committee reports, messages, and add measure buttons. So when your committee reports are posted, you can click here, select the report date, which I don't, there's stuff in here from yesterday, and pull bills onto your calendar that way. You can select the bill, select the calendar that you'd like. When there are messages, that will appear the same way. You can see your message here, the instruments associated with them, and select the calendar that you want to add that to. But if you just want to add any available measure to your calendar, you can click the add measure button. You have a list of them here. I'm gonna just select a whole bunch of them. And I will put them on general. And I will hit save and exit. You saw your successful toast message up there in the left-hand corner. That means everything went well. And then if you come down here to general, you will see your bills that you had added with the short title. You have the ability to move them around if you need to. Kind of drag and drop there. And this just expands all of your calendars if there's data in them and collapses. The move between here allows you to select a calendar. It'll show you all the bills on that calendar. You can select a different day over here or the same day. And you can move bills from one calendar to another. Now House Bill 9 should appear here. And then you have the option to print that, which this button I feel like is very hard to see. But, I will select all and print. And then here is what your calendar would look like if you had everything selected. So there's your general and the bill I moved to local and private. And if you don't, you want to just do what you have bills on. And there's your calendar. And that did not take an hour. Any feedback? Talk to me. Alan? Okay.
Um, at the little subheadings at the top, committee report, messages, add measures. Um, I would love for you to, first of all, I would love for you to have like, calendars with the subheadings, maybe give me a general. Give me something that looks like this. I'd like for you to give me something that looks like that in example. And when I go into the calendar and you give me all of those subheadings, I can in the conference, when I have several measures on the calendar, there's a button, a tab that has it's moved between sort. And I can get all of my bills from the house, have all of my bills from the concurrence calendar that they put in the concurrence calendar that they have put in conference, which aren't in order. So I have like 15 to 16 bills from the Senate, and I may get 20 bills from the House. Okay, there's a button in my program now that allows me to put them in order
Yes.
automatically.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, Brent.
It automatically, you can go in there and tell it to sort, and it's gonna sort, all the House bills always have to come first. So is there a button here that shows me?
Is it automatically sorting them?
No.
You're
You have to
sorting.
go in there, there's a button, and I don't have that button on my.
So- So you can sort, if you come down here to your calendar where your bills are, you can just grab them and sort them. Oh,
I don't have time to do all that.
well, how,
I do not have
how
time
does
to
it-
put let me show you.
But basically, she has a button that just automatically, it does all the House bills in numerical order, then it does the Senate bills.
so. it
And
does
she just clicks a button and it
sort.
automatically sorts.
It's automatic.
Yeah.
I thought you were manually changing the order.
Yeah, no, it's automatic, but she just clicks a button to initiate the process.
Stuff from other talent from the House side saying that, okay, Zanette, I need you to put something on the concurrence calendar. There's even a conference going on where they're conferencing, and you have to file a conference report. Then there's a rules meeting, appropriations meeting. I'm putting all this stuff in the calendar. There's all these meetings going on. And I got these concurrence bills over here, which are from the House, saying that they declined to concur and invite conference. We have declined to concur and invite conference. And I have like, there is no way in my little brain, when I'm dealing with all these numbers, I'm gonna miss something.
Oh,
or
for
if I'm
sure.
put in the wrong order.
So when
I
you,
need this program to help me
absolutely.
navigate at the end of the day, because I'm a 52-year-old girl. I'm not 20, and these numbers get all, and I have to keep it together, and praying and doing everything I can to make sure that I'm okay with everything.
So-
Job and dealing with this and where this, that, and that, da. We got to sign on the calendar, then somebody didn't put something, somebody forgot to add committee stuff adopted on their committee report.
Mm-hmm,
Come back
mm-hmm.
right down the road and say, okay, well, she didn't turn it in right because everything matches. Because sometimes we don't have our backup system. They're going home, they're not checking, and I'm checking 3-4 times a day in this system. I ain't got time to put 200 bills.
Oh, no, nobody has that kind of time. So when you hit the button to automatically sort, are you sorting within? Like do you want like a sort for each calendar type, like a general sort, a non-controversial sort?
On the current calendar, like I go into appropriation, and yeah, I can go into appropriation,
Okay.
and it has, okay, sort.
Like, so like maybe, like right here, maybe.
For them days on, or it gives me an option to sort them or move them over and move. I can have like 200 on the list, and I can move it up to where I made a mistake and took it off. Everybody, I made a mistake.
And and every time you sort, you're sorting numerically by, okay.
So when you create the big When you create the big calendar, do things come into the big calendar into sub-calendars periodically throughout the day? In other words, would you need to hit that sort button more than once? Okay. Uh-huh,
Heavy.
right. Mm-hmm.
I have a little tab on my calendar, that they come in, they ask me, Zanetta, what's the, I can go to it and say, okay, this is on the finance calendar, this is on the finance calendar, not the finance and conference or whatever. But if you got different ones that are, the sorted ones, and sometimes I forget to sort. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's just a rule of thumb or my checks and balances. 'Cause so much stuff that
Would there ever be a situation where you would want to have them in an order different than numerical? Okay,
But that's.
so you would sort them numerically first and then you'd come to those special and then would the drag and drop work for you? Okay,
certain things that
Look,
Okay.
I have it pulled up just so I can show you guys, because this is what you're talking about. If you're on any other calendar, like if I'm on all calendars, the reorder button grays out. But if I go to in-conference like finance or any of the in-conference calendars, I get this reorder button. So when she gets an influx, she
Yeah,
can
this
use
is
a
the reorder button.
she can use a reorder and it sorts them for her. So she doesn't have to go through. Then she can like manually change them. So your drag feature works for her if she needs to
Right.
manually move one. She just needs that reorder button.
But she wants a reorder like on each sub calendar here.
Yeah,
Cause you don't want to reorder the whole,
That's right.
you want each little group.
yeah, every sub.
That because where's my bill at? They're used
The
to.
only place that we gray the reorder button out is when you're on all calendars, so you don't reorder everything at once. If you pick any sub calendar, I can do motion to reconsider and I can reorder that. And
Yep.
you click it, it automatically reorders. And so I think that's the feature that she needs
Okay.
that she doesn't have right now.
And it's numerically House first, then Senate.
Right.
Okay.
And you guys already have that edit, in there, right? Where the little tabs on the.
Which
side?
one? Sorry.
The little edit, where your little tab right here.
Yeah, so that allows you to one-off sort.
Okay, she'll need the ability, because I do know this happens quite a bit, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she does have to edit the short title on the calendar.
Sometimes.
If it doesn't match what they need it to match, it'll only change it on the calendar. It doesn't change it for the document, but she does have the ability to change the short title on the calendar.
Yeah, I didn't show you that. So if you, if you're over here on general, say you want to edit House Bill 2, you can go to this action menu right here on the sub calendar. Hit edit,
Okay, just go back.
go back.
Just start up.
Which is big calendar number, does that need to stay? And so it's not what you didn't count. I got a document that it should have left the number.
What do you mean by the big
The
calendar?
position for the entire. Like this number.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, how
that's,
come they're not-
that's the item number.
Oh, they are.
I would prefer this because they were asking me, Zanetta, what item is it, what number is it on the calendar?
This number, it's the entire
See, when
calendar.
we recreated it.
We
it
have
made
that.
it Easier for us.
Alan, we have that number on the printout.
Okay.
The number, everything that's displayed on the calendar, it makes.
But
it
we
easier
repeat
for-
them in every sub calendar.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
show it right here on the
Okay.
actual application. It's just when
So
you
then
print
whatever-
or go,
Get the print.
yeah.
Yep.
On print or the
Can't
web,
see
it'll show the item number.
But will it show it on my, like, if I'm in here? And, well, I normally go to, cause it's not in here, I normally go to my status, I think. The house repeat, cause it doesn't say.
You go to like a web bill site if you do, right?
Okay, so we need to,
Yeah.
we can,
Yeah.
let's show you a Senate example. Let me switch. I'm gonna draft up a Senate one real quick so we can see this.
Go back to that edit.
I'm gonna draft it up in the Senate for you so you can actually see yours. So we can make sure that since you're here and you're present, that you can see what you need to see. Give me 1 second. What happened? What did you do? What'd you do, girl?
What was it? Well, the decision had to be. That's right, that's right, exactly. I don't know.
the delete button and the edit selected button. You got the committee. And maybe a find button, since I don't have the, from, yes, search find.
What would you search on normally? The short title or the bill number type?
The bill number,
Okay.
like on the general calendar, if I got like 116 on there.
And what
maybe I'm
would-
looking for bill 2616 from education.
So what would be really helpful for you if you typed in 215, that it would basically
SB
take you to it inside
SB
of the,
2915, right?
and then
It'll take me
when it
directly,
finds it, should it navigate you down to it or
take me
make
directly to it.
it, or make the list shrink
Uh-huh.
to
It'll-
just that?
not just take me to it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. So now we're on the Senate calendar. Your lovely yellow. We have, well, where'd it go? Hold on, let me back out. I can't see your bill. Thought we had 3. There we go. Okay, so we have 3 bills that we can put on the calendar. We're gonna put them in general. Save and exit. All right, so if we go down here to general, we have your bills here. I'm gonna reorder them just to see if that sticks. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move one to a different calendar or different sub calendar, I guess. Let's do 3. No, let's do 2. Take them out of order. And we'll put this on local and private and hit save. Where'd it go? Where'd you go? Where's local and private? Why can't I see it? Where'd you go? There you are. All right, there's Senate Bill 2002. So if we print this PDF, what do we do? General. On private, print. Okay, so they still renumber. So we do need to fix that because you need them to consecutively go straight through, right? It should be 1, 2, 3. Okay.
This is new for me, speaking into this little microphone. I saw, okay, right there. Normally, I wouldn't have to click what calendars are already in my calendar. They'll just be, they're saving as they're going. Like if I have a general, if I have a finance, corporations, rules, local and private, they're all there for me. I don't have to, at the end, click them and say, okay, I got an in-conference finance, in-conference rules. They automatically generate.
So
in-
what you're saying is when you go to print this, it only shows you what it has, what sub calendars have bills on it.
That's right.
Okay, you shouldn't have to pick
But
each
you,
sub calendar.
you picked them a few minutes ago. Like when it said print, I saw you, when they weren't highlighted blue. I noticed that they weren't highlighted.
Which wasn't highlighted. Sorry.
I noticed that they weren't highlighted. You,
I click yes. Because you could select all here and hit print. So if I select all and hit print, right, it's just gonna give you
Actually, could you do that? Yeah.
empty categories.
okay, but if you hadn't selected all or selected any since you're working from the local and private and the general or
If you select nothing and hit print, you get a blank sheet of paper.
But if you're already working from those calendars already before this page, we saw that. Why aren't they highlighted already?
We can do that. That's something we can do.
Yeah. That's easy. That's easy. I'm so used to, and Hunter is too. At the end of the day, you got, it's so many different things and they do different multitasking things along with me, making sure that, Ann and Linda and Arnold have what they need when they come off the floor. Not only that, we're busy and we work on the floor till like 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock sometimes later. And you got people coming in, they want this printed, they want this bill, they want this vote. I have to go out to the floor to get the bills, to get for the messages to be done for Ann when she gets off the floor, because we had a Senate page transported all the bills somewhere else and they got lost.
Oh.
So we have to have a responsible person to go in there and get them. And I go in there and get them along with keeping up with what they're doing now. I'm listening and checking off my calendar. So it's a lot of stuff that I'm just not sitting in there looking pretty. I'm sitting in there doing a job. So I
And
need
looking
all the help and the person that's gonna be after me to get this,
Right.
because this is not, he can't come in here and just do this. I just put you in my chair and be like, he can't do that. You know, I mean, I don't care what you major in, engineering, law, medicine, pharmacy, whatever. You know, you just can't come in here and do this. You know, and I got multiple degree. I graduated from college. You just can't come in here and do this. I have experience. And like he says, I don't call them to worry them, to bother them, because I know they have a whole bunch of chaos that's gonna call them and have them just frantic. So the less I can bother Dave Dennis and the crew down there, I try to do it myself. And I keep a calm space in my head for it. But this is a lot, y'all, as y'all can tell. And not only that, putting in the committee reports, the conference reports, the committee amendments, the standalone amendments, the committee amendments, committee subs, you know, from the legislative services. And we have deadline day and everybody's meeting the day before deadline day. You have 97 committee subs and I have to manually put them. Now, if y'all could make it where I could just shred them through some type of feeder and they'll go through, that'd be perfect. I would love that, but I don't
We'll
think
get to
y'all
it.
do. Yeah.
We'll work towards that.
I would love that, but I have to manually put those things in one by one. And not only that, the day before, I have to, a couple of weeks, maybe a week before, mentally prepare for all this that's gonna go on. Cause I got, Mary's gonna have a question, John's gonna have a issue, they're gonna be looking for something. The committee assistant, well, we don't have the lobbies, is the amendment in? You have to prepare for all this stuff. Well, I do mentally, emotionally. I get prepared spiritually, because you never know what type of problem you're gonna run into. So I come with the calm, soothing, team Christian attitude, because you never know what's gonna hit you in the face. And they come like that. And when you come with them and you have to deal with this calendar, it's a totally different reaction from, well, I wanna, I said that, I don't know. No, it's not like that when you come into the docket room on the Senate side.
Right.
But you know, this is a animal.
Absolutely.
This
And we
little
want to
piece of
say,
paper. You just be surprised when one little thing is wrong, or their bill is out of order, or it disappeared from the day before and we didn't take it up.
And you know that world all too well, Francis.
I do, I'm very sympathetic.
I've never, you rarely, I think, not this session, but last session, we had the ones that got put in on the wrong day. And we had to correct that.
That might, yeah, yeah. I
And that
think
was
I
in the
did wrong.
database. I've never used Calendar app because he does such a good job that
I
I
appreciate
legit
Aw.
on the calendar, I never hear.
Appreciate that.
That's wonderful. And we want to set you up for success. So we
Absolutely.
want this to be as easy as possible. So given that, what other than the sort button and the numbers on the far left that will fix
The delete button?
Field.
a search
The
field?
search field by instrument type and number that when, get a match, it
Yep.
highlights it on the screen,
Right.
and navigates you to the position in the dot, in the, screen
Search
word.
field by instrument number?
Well, yeah, the S.
And then you mentioned,
Or House Bill or SN? What about y'all's delete button?
so I'll show you this. So if you can sort, if you don't want to look at this full view, right? You want to get to your sub calendar. You can click this. You also have another print here that'll just print this, right? Just if you need that in a pinch. Your delete is gonna be here.
Okay.
So on each bill row in your action menu, you have your delete here.
No. Just because, like I said, I'm not super familiar with the calendars, because again, Hunter and Zanetta never asked for help, so I never have to go into the program. I do see though, from looking at it today, that everything in our calendar application is multi-select. Is there a situation where you're selecting multiple bills then deleting, or do you always delete one at a time?
Yeah, I was just fixing to ask you that. It's kind of like, can I see this
Mm,
calendar in whole? Instead of going to each, can I see it in whole? Can I see it like this? It shows me this in my program, just like this. It's yellow. So I can, without the, without the, it shows me this
With
without the,
checkbox where the number is.
right,
So-
without the item number. It shows me this in whole, although it doesn't give me item numbers, just showing me a bunch of bills.
Yep.
So can I just, sometimes
I think that's what this is intending to be. This view is intended to be that view without your item numbers.
okay, but I just see the,
But you want like a checkbox over here so you can select multiple and make an action on
like if
multiple
you-
at a time.
Go, where's your other bill at? Your,
Local?
Expand to all, because I think that's kind of how she wants to see it, with everything expanded.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, I just have 3 bills on here. That's why it looks so.
okay, so it, yeah. Yeah, and you got the little subtitles.
Yep, and you can modify that. We'll go to this one. So if you hit edit here, that pops this out so you can do your short title override here,
Now, does that actually override the short title for everywhere or just the calendar?
just here.
Okay, just checking, because
Any changes that you make for the display on the calendar are specific to the calendar. They don't
Yeah, 'cause I
touch the underlying bills.
up, so.
Mhm.
Yep. You can add notes here and it'll put it here. Here's your override, shows right here.
Let's see, it's like, if I made a mistake, say I wanted to put like, I clicked on Senate Bill 31, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, and I wanted to put them somewhere. Those little tabs,
You're saying you want to move several bills to another sub?
yeah, I know the move in between, but I'm saying it's just that, all right, I mean, it's just something that I have to deal with if I had a problem. I was just going to a problem, but it seems okay. Mm-hmm.
So you do want, just to go back to that, some check boxes on all of the bills in this yellow.
Uh-huh.
So you can multi-select, delete.
Also, will it show, like on your calendars that you have up there, will it show like you have the finance, you see that R 3/5 under there? And that on the general, it has a G in will that show that?
We'll try it real quick. Let me just make a note of that okay.
Because if
let's
like you mentioned the other day, if the committee assistants are having to, oh yeah.
So
If
we
the
put
committee
that
is,
in.
if y'all's a commit, if the committee
Yeah.
is,
So I added general right here and a 2/3 vote type override and it put it right here.
okay,
And then just to make sure, let's print this.
okay.
Uh,
Well, see, you shouldn't have to click that, but y'all gonna tweak that.
Yep, so it's got it right here.
Mhm.
Oh, right there. can make them, sorry, that is terribly small. And then just to make sure, let's just make sure, let's double check. So that's Senate Bill 2002. So if we go to bill maintenance. We did not change, the short title has not been modified throughout the system. So you're only updating the short title for your calendar.
Okay. And, okay. In the beginning of my program, when I'm building this calendar, there was somewhere in here where I could go and see the calendar day before. Where was that at?
Right here. If you click on calendars on your left nav here, this will give you, when you're in session, all of the calendars you've created for the session you're currently logged into.
Okay. So if I wanted to create a sub calendar, in which I do sometimes, like Hunter creates her calendars, all subtitle calendars. I only use it maybe during appropriations. When we have appropriations, we have like, how many bills is this? Okay. 60 some bills on this calendar, and say he'll take off 20 bills. So I have to we'll work from the appropriations calendar, the appropriations money bill calendar. He's recommitting them, or he's working from this calendar, and I need to take them off. And the ones I took off, I have to work from a new calendar, which the sub calendar goes down to Christie and Senator Hobson, so they'll know what they're working with. And it's supplemental one. Then when they take those bills up from the supplemental one, I create a supplemental two.
Okay.
Then when they take those bills off, I create a supplemental three.
Okay.
So it keeps them in order of what they're working with, and the bills are coming off.
So you can do that right here. So that Friday, May 1st is that calendar we were just working in. So if you click your action menu here, you can hit add supplemental. And you can load from May 1st. We'll just do one. Supplemental number one. And then that's going to show here. You go edit here. Here's your first supplemental.
Okay, good. Can it show me where it says the title up here? Where it says
Yeah. Well, let's see.
at the top?
General print.
Is it showing it? I don't see.
I feel like that should say supplemental on there somewhere, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should, but it doesn't. Right underneath, Mississippi, on your calendar, you have the Mississippi Legislature Regular Session 2026, Senate Calendar Supplemental 1. And supplement will be in all caps and in parentheses 1.
It says Senate calendar supplemental one.
It's gonna say all these little words up here.
Yep.
At the very bottom, it's gonna say supplemental 1.
On a fourth line? Is it a
Yes,
fourth?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it number one or one spelled out O-N-E?
Number 1.
One, okay. Make sure we nail it. Okay. What else are we missing? Or question?
How is the look and feel of it? Is it familiar enough?
Yeah. To me,
Huh.
go back to your regular with all the subtitles.
Mm,
This right here,
Mhm.
I'm used to seeing it like this, like this. Like I'm used to seeing if I have some general bills, I'm just used to seeing it all when I open it up. And everything is like, when I go down to general, I know the next is finance. I mean, if I
Oh,
see
the-
rules,
Are
I'm
you
just,
saying the order of this
Yeah.
is kind of out of order?
yeah, it's just, that's the, how my ledger is to check,
We
to
can
make sure.
certainly reorder these if that's,
No, it's just looking at them, they're not, it's just not in, I have to click on a down spiral. I'm not working from a page. I'm working from tabs. And uh, I would rather see, like when Rob and Deborah created this, they asked me and Diane. Diane was here before Hunter was. And Diane was the mastermind behind this thing. Um, it's just that we wanted to, and I was making a lot of mistakes. And so they were like, what can we do to make it easy? And we were like, we wanted to see the calendar as we worked in it. Now, these tabs, I don't like these tabs. To me, Hunter might like them. I just rather see, like, if I'm working on a research paper for my professor, I ain't got time to go in there and press on a tab and say, okay, this is, I just want to see all this stuff that I've created.
expand all here. So you could just come in, when you hit this page in the morning, right? You could come in and hit expand all and then it'll bump everything out for you.
Okay.
So that's kind of a quick shortcut, just this right here.
Or I'm gonna tell you what, the tabs that I really don't need for that day, if they're not on the calendar, don't even put them in there.
And
Just,
that, you can do that. I built it with all of them in there, so you could make sure we had all the categories in. But if you go
Uh-huh.
to, let's see, add a new. Yeah, so if we did another, let's do the second. If we just wanted to do, general and local. Right, then you just have your two. Well, there's nothing in there yet.
yeah.
But we can,
Okay, when you go into your calendar, where did you get those from? Your
the
bill? Mm-hmm.
oh, I hit add measure here. And it just shows you any bill that's in the system that's not already on the calendar.
Okay.
But so if we go back now, so if you came in right on this day and hit edit, you'd see it like this, you'd hit expand all. I think it was just a little bit of an overwhelming view when all the categories in there. It is a lot of yellow. And you can certainly spend some time with it, spend some time with it. You don't have to tell us today. What you say today is not like the end of the feedback, right? You can, I don't want you to feel pressured to to respond to everything today.
Absolutely. And when, what will be really valuable to us is once you get in and start playing with it, when you realize that certain things aren't smooth or helpful for you, or certain things work well, like that type of feedback is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, we don't want you to be stuck with something you're not gonna want to use, right? That's not helpful for you or us or anybody, or David or anybody.
And all the tabs that we had on like the main page for the calendar, I like to have all those up there in blue. I mean, I know they're in that little thing over there with those little
Like what?
three tabs, like edit, select, delete, selected, committee reports, messages, reorder, move in between. I have to go into little,
So
find, expand, exit,
I wonder if,
print. I got a big print and then I got a small print. I can go into each calendar. Oh, I can go into like the general calendar or the appropriations calendar or the local and private or the motion to reconsider. And then they'd be like, how many bills are on the general calendar? Well, I have a selected button where it can tell me. I just click on it, which is at the top.
So yeah, if you hit general here, you'll just get general.
And you print that and it
Then
just
you'll
give me the
print it.
general.
Yeah, then you're just printing your general.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But all those little tabs that y'all put on the side, you know, old person like me, just don't want to see them all at the top. You know, that's good. I like them on the side, but oh my, you know, it's just,
And I
but
want,
hey, everything is, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to play around with it and see how it goes. I think y'all done
The idea is
a
that
good
the.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. The idea is that these actions here are specific to that measure, right? So you're editing the data for Senate Bill 2001 right here.
I do think, Rita, we're gonna have to have a button for like the delete and edit if we have a multi-select.
Yeah.
Um,
Cause sometimes I'm
otherwise-
deleting like,
For delete, yes.
For
For
delete.
edit, I don't
Yeah, you're right.
know that I truly feel comfortable with that, but yeah, delete for sure.
yeah.
Cause yeah, I guess what would you be doing editing?
Yeah, I feel like that could get very messy very fast.
Heard.
Yeah, it makes, I've noticed like this year that it makes me more comfortable to work from a selected, subheading. Like if we're working in the general, I'm just in the general calendar. So I won't make a mistake and put, if we got 2002 and say 2020, it's in the finance calendar, make a mistake and delete that one. It's easier for me to just work within that subheading type table because sometimes I'm going kind of fast, but I try to go slow, especially when I'm double checking and triple checking.
I
'Cause-
can understand if you have this much.
Oh, it's
in
sometimes
here
it's
that
more than
this
that
is-
much.
Well, and this is a very overwhelming way to view this.
Yeah.
Right? I do get
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's sometimes it's the calendar as thick as your computer, you know. They're trying to get all their bills. They're gonna die anyway, but they're trying to get all those bills out, you know. Oh Lord have mercy. I hope they can hear. But anyway, you know, it's just if you feel and think that it's overwhelming and you just start
Oh,
popping pills and taking energy drinks and doing whatever else, you can't drink, you can't do that while you can't do it. You got to be straight minded and just come up in here and just, you know, be able to do your job without, your mind has to be free from, because Dave Dennis, he has find a problem. I have a conference report I put in wrong, or I clicked the wrong name on there. And he's like, I understand. He wants me to email him and screenshot everything, which is good. So he's a big help. But it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of chaos. It's a lot of chaos. Y'all just don't know though. Y'all probably do, but it's a lot. We like the chaos, but we like to work out the problems within the chaos.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Especially when I have to, it's been a day where I've had to recreate the problem 3 times. Luckily, I hadn't done it this year. Last year, maybe. When they suspend the rules and all the bills die, but they resurface, we have to come back and put in a measure saying suspense resolution. We need a mechanism where it'll pop on all the 120 bills instead of manually putting them in there, because we asked them, they can't do it. We spent timeless hours all night in here to about 10 o'clock, putting that in there. And you can't copy it. For some reason, you can't copy and paste it.
Let me make sure I understand what you're saying here. So you've got a calendar, they suspend the rules. Can you not create a new calendar from the old calendar?
You can't create a new calendar because in the,
Because it's the same date.
it's the exact same thing. And you have to work from that calendar, and all those numbers that you have on that calendar. Who wants to create a new calendar and mess up and have not a number, a Senate bill on there? Oh my God. That's just, and if it's from one of the major top 5 committees, you're really in trouble. So I'm not trying to create a calendar at 10 o'clock at night when I have to recreate this calendar and put in this suspended by the rules 115 times sitting there. It's gonna take me 30 minutes to do that for
So,
all those bills.
so if you were able to create more than one calendar for a given day, would that help you?
What the program does now,
Uh-huh.
it allows you that number to the right here, this number, if it's gonna generate from this here, you cannot change this number. It's gonna say, oops, or do you want to delete everything from your previous calendar? One time I did that. I had to go from my calendar before, I had to look at all my notes because I had to delete everything. It's throwing stuff, targeting stuff at you where it's gonna delete your calendar if you don't have this number right. This number plays a big role. You just can't, okay, number 50, 45. It's gonna automatically generate that 45 in there or 46 day. But when you try to change the number calendar, Zanetta, you can't create a 45th day because you already created for 45th day. So do you want to delete everything? I have no idea what to do. And then when I changed
But
it, sometimes when I change, I forget to change the number or make the number wrong. And we're here late and I have to call him. And he's like, let me figure out how to do it. I need to,
How often does that happen?
oh, it happens maybe 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And I'm an old girl once again,
Mhm.
up here late. I stay 40 minutes away from here. I want to get home safe to my family. This is something. And Ann is checking, oh, Zanetta, you got the, so sometimes I can go in there, since I'm a pro at it, I can delete everything and put it back. But not, I mean, not at,
I think this might be something that we can tweak the existing logic to accept, but I need to get a little bit more detail about what the current system's doing that's causing you problems.
it throws you, if I want to, and sometimes I'm working, when, at the end of the year, the session, I work from 2 calendars. I work from a calendar that I built for the next day, and I work from that particular calendar. Sometimes I forget to create the calendar. So I've worked in the calendar for that day. And then I'm like, it's,
Because you create new calendars most of the
yeah.
time from the
and
prior
I
calendar.
think sometimes I put that number in there the next day and it throws me off and it says, Zanetta, do you want to delete it? And I've deleted it a couple of times. So I have to go into the move in between from that day
Yeah.
and I have to put it back. And then I have to make sure that all my notes match these numbers because here I am in a panic mode. I have worked all day and I done messed up. That throws me. I'm an old girl.
Yeah.
I have to rely on what I was raised on, So I just can't sit there and be like,
This is something that I'd really like to see in detail in mock session.
Yeah.
If we could throw one of those into mock session so that we get a feel for what's happening there. Maybe during the mock, we suspend the rules.
I don't know if Hunter ever, but to suspend the rules, we both have to do that because the
Yeah.
bills come back alive and you got multiple calendars, hundreds of bills.
Mhm.
And you have to have that little symbol, that little notation by all of them. And he can't do it.
So basically, when they suspend the rules and then they come back, it's the exact same calendar, but they died here and were reborn
They have
here.
to have that title by them because that gives them permission to be
Right.
within the constitutional
Right.
ramifications. Yeah.
Okay.
Please also note that our request has a checkbox for suspense resolution on it. Just,
But I think what Zanetta's saying is.
I know
not
it's two different
that,
things.
This is,
It's-
gotta say it on the calendar.
Right,
It's
and
gotta say- it's gotta, whenever
hear
a
you.
bill gets suspended by the rules. So even if it's like, if you go all the way back and, go into bill status and suspend the rules and you put in the suspense resolution, that has to reflect on the calendar, because when they put it up on the calendar, if the public is looking at it, they may not understand that this bill is still here because the rules are suspended, instead of it, immediately they think, oh, this is unconstitutional.
Or the press, and they're going by that legislative the deadline schedule that is regulated by the Constitution of,
And there actually is a private company that watches the website. So when she does this calendar public, it's called State Watch. They are so quick to call, they do not miss anything. So,
And what is the notation by each bill when the rules are suspended?
It's suspension resolution. It's suspension resolution 61. suspended rules, it says something about, what does it say?
Let me see if I can go and change to a different day.
It says
Go back and do the,
suspension deadline, HCR 61.
Mention deadline.
Mm-hmm,
H-
mm-hmm. Or HCR 61 suspension deadline, it's either or, in
Okay.
parentheses.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's for every bill. If they don't know what if they're having a conflict and they're saying, okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna suspend the rules. We have a calendar with 39 pages, 200 and some items on there. All of them come back, they die, but then they come back alive. So the night before, we have to stay there and put all that, and I'm asking Hunter, who somehow already knows what's going on, so she halfway finished her calendar, but I'm down there still typing. And we're calling Dave Dennis, Linda's calling, Ann's calling. Can y'all? But somehow they could put them in there, but when I typed some of them in there, they showed up twice. The suspension. So that's in the old program. I don't even know how that happens. We wouldn't know which ones that they actually put in there, and then I have to come back and put them in there. But I didn't see them I wouldn't see the verbiage in my little box. It's already on the yellow calendar. So how would I know? Because I'm trying to, and it's 10 o'clock at night. It's 9:30 at night. I don't have, what I need to do, go back and forth to see if it's on Senate Bill 2018, 32.14. You know, that's a lot. That is a lot. So it's a lot. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot. Mhm.
Well, thank you. That's super valuable feedback.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Very much. You have some really good notes.
No, I just wanted to see if it. No, I didn't do anything. Okay. Nope, good. We had this. Well, I put it down there and it didn't even print anywhere, so I don't think it's helping. Okay.
You go to committee report right quick.
I don't know if there's gonna be
I just
anything.
want to see, okay. Committee report. What are instruments from report? What does that mean?
their instruments is a different name for, documents, so.
Oh, the
that should
document
say
name.
Measures.
I got you. Okay, that's good. Let's go.
We'll get them to update that to say measures, instead of instrument.
Good catch.
Okay.
Yeah, just for the label.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you. I could have not done a proper
I
testing with
think
that,
it's
so thank
4
you.
actions. But I think Ann's not here, so if Hunter can't attend floor actions, I mean, that was our big, Hunter and Douglas, and Ann's, she's gonna watch the live. So I don't know who would be attending floor action if Hunter can't.
I guess we're demoing to y'all.
Or we can just wait. Well, we have house after lunch. Do they want to come before lunch? If Senate's not coming? Hunter's in him. Okay. Okay. Ooh.
Deep voice. There's a program, it's called Front Desk. It allows me to put in the committee subs, the amendments, the conference reports. And it also allows me to delete them, delete certain things. I have to use the measure number that's on the bill from Legislative Services. There's an R number at the bottom. Usually when we have a meeting, the chairman has a meeting, they pass it out, title sufficient do pass, committee sub, title sufficient do pass as amended. I have to, appropriations, title sufficient do pass as amended, the House bills, Senate bills. I have to have there's a program, it's front desk. And the front desk program is the program that I work from. I don't know if y'all doing that, if it's part of y'all's thing. It may not be a part of y'all's thing. Y'all may not, well, scratch that, don't even worry about it.
We may need to put them in a location where we can do it as a module, because they'll need the ability to do certain things like add authors,
A new separate module?
yeah, but it's existing functionality that you already have. So you won't be creating functionality from scratch, but it's a set of, like a module where if you give them permission, they have all of these items that they can do from that module.
Would that be just giving people access to things that we've already created?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but it's gonna be more complex than that because you don't have it broken down in a way where I can only give her access to a certain part of things, like to add authors. Where do we do that at? We do that in,
Bill maintenance.
Well, okay, so bill maintenance is probably where a lot of this stuff would be added at, but then like conference reports. She doesn't need to see all the other stuff when she's putting it in. She just needs to be able to see only the part that she's gonna do. So,
Is that something we could address with micro permission?
I think so, yeah.
okay, well, I mean, yeah, again, though, it's still gonna be like all over the place instead of just all of these functions and like kind of listed in one location. Even if yours is just to jump them to that location, they have the thing that says front desk. And then when you click it, it just takes you to like bill maintenance where they can do it at.
It has four little tabs.
Uh-huh.
It has committee report, conference report, amendment. And it gives me the option to, but I have to put in once they come out of committee, from small committee, and come up to the floor, y'all know that they have to be ready for the public, state watch, the lobbyists, lieutenant governor, and the chairman who's looking at their amendments online. Well, we didn't pass out this amendment, but still, it's several, during the deadline, they have several committee reports, several amendments, especially when we receive the House bills, everything is amended.
Uh-huh.
They're butchering every bill. So, we're pretty much, and then Christie, working with the appropriations. Usually Senator Hobson has a commitment to all the House appropriations.
Okay. Sounds like we probably need to have a separate talk about all of the functionality that's in the front.
Yeah, and it's not, when I say module, I don't mean like a actual module. I just mean
Uh-huh.
like a navigation
Right.
where you can get to these functions quick. Cause what's not being conveyed here is that they do this on the floor, on the fly. It's called
Yeah.
front desk.
Right, yeah,
When they're sitting on the floor and someone brings an amendment up,
right,
they put that like, let's say it's like a handwritten amendment.
right.
They're scanning that in, putting it up right away.
They're
so
doing the
it's-
standalone amendments, but when the amendments come from the committee, I'm putting them in, and the conference reports that automatically come in. I just have to make sure that they're signed by each member. Say,
Mhm.
if you two only signed it and he didn't, I have to make sure that's not checked. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
And I know it's, actually, we have staff that uses it as well, like, Spencer using the chamber when he's putting in something,
Uh-huh.
in the House, Benjamin uses it.
Those are
Melvin
automatic
uses it.
standalone amendments. They go in just
They-
like
They
that.
can do a lot of different things from this
Front
program,
desk,
depending
yeah.
on who's logged in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well,
some
the-
things Carlos has the ability to do that I can't, that he showed me this year. I learned something new. I didn't know I had the ability to add authors and stuff like that
Yes.
and delete them.
Okay.
But
That's it.
again, it's features that you already have. It just may need to be like an anchor to where it just shows up like.
Different access point.
Yeah, it just says front desk as a tab, and then it's like this, and then you click it and it just takes you to wherever you're adding the optics at, like bill maintenance.
Uh-huh.
It just takes you to that point.
You're gonna have to show them.
Yeah. Just, just try exactly what it does, and then they photocopy and upload it. Yeah, it gets like it doesn't have like a document number like a typical amendment or something would. It's got like it's like, it says scan 1 or scan 2 on it when they scan it.
When they, yeah, when legislative services gets them ready, they do them, pretty fast. And because that's right. Uh-huh. And they have to have that scan document number for the journal clerk. So, you know. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes. Oh, one more thing. One more thing. No, it's, no,
So the front desk isn't an app that we can, like, we can show you, but we'll probably have to go to a computer that it works on, because it's not an app that we can get to work from just anywhere. It's, as a matter of fact, they messed up and updated a computer somewhere and we couldn't get it to work for a little while. So we had to work on it, I think, in the house this year. So it's a very finicky app. Like, the functions are all somewhere else as well,
Mhm.
but they just put them all together in one program.
If we need to be here to see that, is that something we need to make time for this week?
Yeah, it's on the PC. We can just, I think we
Okay.
can go into the chamber and show it to you.
Okay, yeah.
I was just gonna let you know, it's not something I can pull up and show you from, on the fly from here, because it won't load. I can try.
I was trying to
but-
see if we had it. I was gonna look and see if we had any Dorager.
Yeah, there's a document on it, I think.
In screenshots of something, but I didn't know that it was a separate, I think we do have some references to it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably have screenshots, because Brian would have had it working.
Uh-huh.
But I think if I try to load it. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I
Okay.
immediately get an error.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing. And I can't. What is happening? Yeah. How can I stop?
I included attorneys on, right, so. Oh, oh, I didn't realize it.
we ready? Are you guys ready? Are my folks ready?
I'm ready.
Should we count off? I think
That's the first time I've ever tried.
All right, guys, so we are looking at the bill action screen in third reading. And I'd really like you guys to kind of tell me what you'd like to see here. So the way this is set up is pretty open. You can add any bill action that you need to add from this list here. So I kind of want you guys to drive this in terms of what you all would use this for, and we can make sure that we're meeting those needs if that makes any sense. That's a good place to start.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there a certain criterion for how they're ordered?
No, not to my knowledge. I think they're just kind of in there. I also had a question about the letters following each,
Okay.
like the code that follows. I didn't know if that was helpful to see. It seems very distracting to me, though.
Distracting to me, but I think Zanetta and Linda may have more to say about that.
Thank you, Ian. But this is actually Anime's, we call her Anime. Her name is Ann Sullivan, who works in this program. But those actions there, they are alphabetical order.
Okay. A great place to start. So I guess the codes, the bill status codes that are followed, so like LOT, P for pass, those are searchable, if that helps. So if I, instead of having to just type, you can either type late on table or LOT to get to where you're going. I just feel like the view is a little, well, it's just all jumbled together. Will help, yeah.
And that's really something that I would defer to Linda, Zanetta, and Ann on because they use it more. I mean, we look at it, but they're the ones that actually make those entries.
I was
You
talking
can't hear
about-
me, Linda?
I was talking about these codes here, like the A after amended and the DR, TSDMP. They just seem really cluttered to me on the screen. I didn't know if they're useful for you all to see there, if you'd like to see that differently. It just kind of runs all together for me. So I didn't, but you guys look at this every day. This is your world, not mine. So my opinion does not matter.
So I'm trying to figure out, so the very first one, you have DR, like, is that like double preferred, title sufficient, due pass? And then you have the same thing at the end, title
Right.
sufficient, due pass.
And only some of those do that. Looks like the committee,
I don't think that's the way it is now, like,
I don't think you guys have the acronym at all now, if I remember correctly.
I think sometimes we have it at the beginning, but I'm not sure where that at the end is coming from.
Excuse me.
I would just like to see it to where you have the code separate from the text, whether it's in a column and you could sort by either one.
Yes.
That way, if they want to just type the code in real fast and hit enter to put it over there, they got it ready to go.
I agree.
Because one person may remember all the codes, the other person may just know the name.
Yeah, or even if we could do 2 columns even. Scott might kill me. I recommend that, but. Lot in here too.
that we're doing it like this now? Like, for instance, like past, and you have the P. Is that just so that we can put the P in there? It brings you quickly to past? Okay, so, but it will still be in alphabetical order like that, but it's
Yes,
just
we,
the,
yeah, we could sort them in alphabetical order for sure.
but we're just doing that just to quickly get to the action.
I think that was the idea.
Okay.
But it doesn't really, right? I just typed P. And it's giving me everything that has a P in it.
Yeah,
So LOT works,
yeah.
but there's not another, it's,
I would think most of the time you'd probably use the search, but can you search for that code on there too?
well, you
okay.
should be able
Wait.
to, right? If I do LOT, it comes up.
So if you just
But
put that
P is-
list in alphabetical order, you're probably good to go.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, if you put them into two columns and then you had the ability to just filter by the code, you would find the past a lot potentially faster, maybe.
I agree. Like, I think it needs to be,
You can search both.
right. It needs to be
Yeah.
in a way that it's responsive to both.
Two
Yeah.
boxes right there to filter by motion, filter by code or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it does, I'm sorry, Ian, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say to clarify, so then if you did it that way, they would show up separately, so it wouldn't be as cluttered in that single menu. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Or even, to Francis's point, even if at a minimum we put the code at the end in parentheses, it just kind of feels really run on to me,
It is.
Yeah. Well, literally it is. Yes. And I don't think it looks like that in your current system, if I remember correctly.
No, and if it doesn't look that way in our current system, I don't know that it needs to look that way in this one, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think you guys have the codes on the,
I mean, it could be maybe if you, is searching by code something that y'all do? Like, would you search LOT when you're looking for lay on table? Okay, this is all in. Yeah. Yeah, we need the.
Okay. I was saying that Ann Sullivan, you're welcome. She does this particular job, but she's so familiar with it. I don't see why it is necessary to have this code on everything. It's not necessary.
If we have it, I'm thinking it should almost just be invisible.
Yeah.
Maybe something that could be accessed if somebody wanted to see it, but not showing up.
right,
If I were searching for late on table, I would probably just type in table.
right, right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
And I
if-
think, we do want to keep in mind that, if Anne isn't here
Mm-hmm.
and someone replaces her and has to learn the system, that we want to make it easy enough for someone to kind of learn
Yeah.
that's new. But I don't think I really don't think I'm trying to remember your screens now. I don't think currently you have the code attached to the text. I think it's just laid on table.
But it is a lot faster to type in a code if you know it and you're
Yeah.
doing it a lot. So if you did remember, if you were doing it that way and you kind of got into a habit of it, it'd be a lot faster.
Sure.
if it's
No,
something
for
that
sure.
maybe could just appear in a hidden menu that's attached to the, yeah.
You could, if you put it in a separate column, show, hide, however you think it needs to work.
We could put a toggle switch on the search box and you could say search by code. And then if you searched by code, it would bring up the full name of the thing if you knew the code.
And I was thinking you could even have a drop down where you could see the codes alphabetically, but you don't need to see the codes all the time. That way they'd be invisible, but they'd be there in the system real easy as well. And then somebody like Ann or the others in the house could have just a printout of the codes too.
Or like somebody mentioned, if you want to get to like, laid on the table, if you just key in the L and it brings you to everything that quickly, to me, that's even better than having to go down through and search everything like that. Okay.
Whether you were searching by code or by the full name of the action, that
Mhm.
feature would still be present. So if you had two codes that started with T and you typed in T, then it would just narrow the list. Yep. It's pretty much standard.
And I think you guys are the gurus on laying it out, but toggling and having to choose, am I going to search plain text or am I going to search by code? That to me would be harder. But if I had two boxes, I know generally all my codes. And then when there's one that like, I know what happened, I know what to search by plain language, but it doesn't happen often. I could just whip right back to the same box right beside it as opposed to having to retoggle. And Ann's putting in thousands of these a day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
One question on the double referred. So I'm just looking at Senate Bill 2728 from this last session. That was the Youth Court Act that died. And the second action, so it was referred to Judiciary Division A, and then it was appropriations, and then the second action line is DR hyphen TSD PCS, so title sufficient to pass committee sub. And then it says colon JA2 appropriations. Does that automatically populate still in this system like our old system did?
So I think we noted that yesterday. We do have the title sufficient due pass that comes out of the committee action. It does not reference the committee, so we can add that. Is it in paren or is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a history of actions on Senate Bill 2728. It's available on the legislative website. I can print it out for you too, but it doesn't have a paren. It's just all capped. It says JA2, it's colon JA, which would be the code for Judiciary A to AP appropriations.
It's actually gonna
range code.
tell me exactly where the bill's supposed to go. If the checks and balances, if the first name committee hasn't tight sufficient due pass, double referred, if they have she's made a mistake and put it on the calendar, if I hadn't wrote on it on the jacket, it can tell me exactly if it goes to somebody else.
Yeah.
Or if it's coming out if she's got it wrong. So it helps me to check. So it has to be, that verbiage has to be there, which comes from legislative
It's a
services.
JA to AP, for example.
I'm talking about, yeah, which would say double referred, title sufficient, double referred. Okay, it would say, I don't know what bill it is, but it would say we're pretending agriculture to corrections. And the first name committee is corrections, and corrections has double referred out title sufficient due pass committee sub. Yeah,
Okay.
double referred, double referred JB to appropriations. Okay, she's got a committee sub on there. Then the next committee comes over and she says, I'll say title sufficient, DR title sufficient due pass, AP to JP as amended. So they've changed it. So I have to know what she's doing and how she's saying this, because it tells me that she's going to change this committee report, and it's going to be another one that's for the third time. Because they met on it at first, it was a double referred. It came out of committee to come to me the second time. But the second time, let's pretend that she says a DR TSDPC AAAA as amended. So that means she's gonna change it. It goes back to the committee. And
Right.
so it doesn't go on the calendar. So we need that to say in the verbiage here to say, Zanetta, I'm looking for something.
Okay. With those committee codes that are going in that history status line, I'm looking in your committee orgs right now and we have an abbreviation. So up here, like for Judiciary Division A, we have Jud A, and we also have the code JA. Which one of those do y'all want to show in that bill status? Do you want the JA or? I feel like on the history now, it's the J, it's this code that we're seeing online. Just want to make sure.
While they're checking that out, I just want to be clear now. When Ann Sullivan updates bill status, she will never be doing any of this title sufficient due pass, that kind of stuff. The only thing that Ann does when she updates bill status is floor action. What happens to a bill on the floor when it's called up?
Correct.
Passed, amended. All this title sufficient due pass going from one committee to another, that's
Coming
gonna
from the
be
committee.
prior to the floor action done by the committee assistants. So
Right.
even though it is in her bill status update program,
Mhm.
but she never uses that. That's strictly for committee assistants.
Right. I just want to make sure that when we do push it, when the committee assistants push that bill status code in, that we're showing that correctly
Okay.
for you all and her, for everybody. but I think it's this
Well,
code that you guys
what
want.
goes right now is the code.
Okay, okay.
If you want it to be the same, it'd be the code.
Here, let me get back there so you guys can actually see.
Does this system, as it is right now, does it have the ability to show the votes like our current system does? So whenever it passes, it would say passed and then it open parentheses and it's actually a hyperlink to the vote.
Don't think so.
If you look, if y'all, I don't know if you could pull up our legislative website, but you can see how it's laid out on 27, 28. I can get you there if you need it. Yeah, right there. And then you go to, just click that main result. And then down at the bottom, just do 27, 28 there. No, it'll auto populate. David's great.
And then the vote.
And then, so that's the history of actions we've been talking through.
Yep.
And if you see that motion, that entry on 212 says that's when it passed the Senate. And then that hyperlink, if you click on that, it'll pull up. And I'm sure that's something that either Zanetta, Linda, or Ann, the magic of the docket room, generates for everyone. Yeah, Linda. Okay.
So David, do you know how that's working now? Is that this vote from, oh boy, hold on, back it up. When this comes in on the web, the vote that's pulling here, is that something that y'all are doing on the website or?
Yeah, this is the website. Yeah, this is.
No, I mean like to actually link that vote to that.
Yeah, we have a
Action.
program that runs that links, well, no, the database has got a link for the vote. So whenever Linda exports the votes for the day, I'll pull in the votes. So it's the exact same process that we do with the XM Ledge for the House. Like, cause we do the convert, then we build. When we build the vote for the Senate, it builds them and it knows where to tie the vote to. So I don't have to go in and specifically tell it. When I pull the votes in and then I rebuild the page, it puts the vote where it needs to go. So, and then I guess that's all just part of how the system works for the journal.
In the journal is where we tabulate the votes, and I have to manually key in unless we do it by use of the morning roll call or like all in favor. You can just hit one button and it tabulates all the names. If someone votes no or not voting, we have to actually click on that senator's name and check no or not voting. Or I manually type in not voting because it's not a thing, but as Dave Dennis said, then at the end of the day, once we print the votes tabulating in the journal program, Dave takes it from there and posts it out on the web.
Yeah, like I said, I can kind of get you the logic behind how it ties to that action. But yeah, pretty much once we pull it in, it just breaks that vote down, throws it into a table, and as we build, it'll look through. And if there's an action that required a vote, like pass, then it'll put the vote with the action so you can click and it'll hyperlink to the actual PDF that it builds. And all that is done like on the fly.
And I'm assuming that's the same way for veto messages as well, because the vetoes look like that vote.
No, I have to manually do the vetoes. Yeah. The
Okay.
vetoes are a little bit different because we get them as a doc. from
Just as long as it can show and the program can enter it and everything, yeah.
It does tie them together like that, but I have to build the PDF first. Whereas this PDF gets built by the system. But yeah, the rest of the process is the same.
I can't do the button. Okay, let me go back here. You guys could take a look still. My battery. Okay. Oh. Killing it. I'm just getting some juice, guys. Keep thinking. Is there anything else you guys are seeing just right out the gate? I know you guys probably haven't had a chance to play with it yet.
I mean, all of this is kind of outside the purview of us because it's just Ann doing these. So, but I mean, does the program,
The half here.
does the system put in conferees? Like, can she put does Ann put the conferees in too? And so I mean, that same bill says conferees named, and then it's got your, I mean, because it's a Senate bill, it's got those, you are usually named first, and then your house.
Yeah, I think that's actually gonna be handled in the conference committee portion down here that we're working on building that out right now, actually. But that would be right here, which there's nothing quite there yet.
That would be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Right now it's called a name conferee. I think we sent them the data.
Yep. Yep, they're working on that as we speak.
Yeah, it still will need to show up on, at least for the website, which will be different. We'll pull data out of here for the website, but yeah, it's same basic concept. You need to see it here internally as well.
Yes, and that would work similar to how the committees work. So when you report out of committee and it auto populates this bill actions list over here on the right. I don't know why I'm pointing with my hand and not my mouse, but over here it would behave similarly for conference committee. So once the conferees are named, that would populate here. What else would Ann ask us? We're channeling our inner Ann today.
Or
So you said when, cause like he mentioned, Ann does put in the conferees. And then once she enters them into the system, they come out on what we call bill status. I mean, are we still gonna have bill
Yeah.
status?
Yeah, that's
So
what
that-
David was saying, that he'll pull all the data together.
Still.
Yeah,
pulling it.
this is just a matter of inputting. But following up on what Zanetta was saying with when it's amended, title sufficient do pass as amended, when it goes, like it bounces back and forth from committees. And that follows up on the point that I made yesterday during the drafting session. I don't know if the system is going to, like right now, there are no flags. Nobody tells us what to do. Like the attorneys keep up with it ourselves. We know that, and our office releases a new document. So we just want to make sure that the system doesn't automatically release a document to the next committee. It needs to stay internal, that LSOs are still doing what we're doing physically.
Yep, physically, what you guys are doing physically with paper will not change. This is just capturing the data along the way and pushing it to the web. But very important to note that. So.
So basically, nothing is changing in the program that she used except the language, and you're adding these codes to the side, but she will go in and use the system the way she normally does.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yes, that's what we're aiming for. That's what we're hoping we've hit. That's the target we're hoping we hit. So. And hopefully it's new but very familiar
Okay.
is the goal for her.
I'm sure
Ann.
once Ann watch it back, 'cause we're gonna send her the link to this stream. So I'm sure once she watches it back, she's probably gonna have some questions.
Yeah.
Because Linda, as you and I both know, there's so many small things that she also does, you also do, Zanetta,
Mhm.
that you can't fully capture until you're in that situation.
Right.
So Ann may watch it back and say, hey, here's something that I do that you didn't touch on.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, and some of the feedback we were giving Freeney earlier was to make sure when Ann, when she listens to this, hi Ann, to kind of run through one of a more challenging bill from session, one that kind of gave her a little bit of heartburn, just to make sure she can hit those edge cases in our system and get what she needs to get out of it. Will be very important. And we're here to support that. When she's back and she has questions, we can hop on a call with her, walk her through it. Oh.
Okay, great. Mm-hmm.
If there's nothing else on this, I do want to kind of touch base real quick because I know as Ian and Ethan have mentioned, they found a few things on drafting. We may want to make sure that we have plenty of time scheduled so they can go through it. Because again, everything with this system lives and dies on their ability to draft. Like if they can't draft, I mean, it's,
28 minutes, if y'all wanna, are you prepared? Are you not ready? It's okay.
Oh, no,
Jump spot.
you've got plenty to fill 28 minutes.
Before we go ahead, is there anything else on this screen? For now?
Yeah, we don't want to take their time if there's anything else they need.
If there's anything else on this screen that we wanted to cover before we move on? Okay. Okay, thank you. Right. Everything touches everything. Thank you very much.
I can do it. I haven't. Yeah, I know you all. We're using a city. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Let me get it logged in.
While Ally's getting logged in and getting her screen up on the screen, can I say a couple of things about the requests? Because that's short. I think the request module looks pretty good. I saw a few things. And I think some of them we mentioned after the session yesterday. I just wanted to say them again to make sure you got them down. When entering the reintros, if there could be a drop-down menu for the year, and then the drop-down menu for the session, regular session, first special session, second special session, or I guess they call it extraordinary session, first extraordinary, second extraordinary. Those would depend on the year that I chose because some years have certain extraordinary sessions that others don't. Right now, nothing appears in the drop-down menu for the session, and I think it's because we don't have yet the bills, right? Okay.
So would you want the drop down to just have, if it goes by year, it would be, 2025 extraordinary, then 2025, but do you want those two separate fields?
here's why they're separate, okay?
Uh-huh.
Us, you have to tell us the year, then you have to tell us what session it is, because we're looking
Right.
older to get that.
No, certainly. I just wonder,
Your system, I mean, it could go back in time, so you could kind of like have it like that, but for us, whenever you're pulling, like whenever you're gonna link to our folder, it'll have to be like a 1E. So it can't just be first extraordinary, it's gotta be like 1E specifically. So there's a reason why it's got session here,
uh-huh.
not just like first extraordinary. Because that first extraordinary for us is not written out as first extraordinary, it's written out as like 2025 1E.
Right. I guess my
So,
question was.
Yeah, so it would be helpful to just have them completely separate. The year is just going to be the year and not going to have that everything so that they input the year and then they input the session right after so that it can stay separate. So that would be.
Well, and right now the fields are separate, but the year field, it doesn't say, and maybe we don't need a drop-down menu because I can see after a while that drop-down menu gets very long. We could just, so long as there's an indication of what format we need to put the year, do we put 2 digits? Do we write 26? Do we write 2026? Do we write 2020? Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically.
So how this says select, maybe put like YYYY or YY, like a little, like some context in there as to what you're.
Right. Just like a little grayed out,
Yep.
light
Some,
gray.
some informational,
so
some
that we
help.
know, and then we hit tab or we hit enter, and then that affects the options in the drop-down menu for session.
I said, because like we do it two different ways.
Okay.
Where it depends, on so like, when you go to get a, like, part of the historical data from us, like, anything that like, Ian and his team would see would be the 2-digit year, so it'd be like 25, and then you'd have 20 for the session, or it'd be blank for regular session. But once you get over to the actual, like, website, like where you're gonna pull the PDF from, where we store the PDF, that is actually a 4-digit year. So we do it, and again, predates me, but we do it two separate ways depending on where you're grabbing the data.
And that doesn't matter. I mean, I don't personally care if that's different.
We can handle that in the back of the
Yeah.
application. If you give us 2026 and
I
we
mean, I
need to go
like-
look it up by just 26, we can figure that out.
4-digit years are,
Okay.
Right.
In one place or 4 in another.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you're only telling me that you want 26, I have to know what folder I'm going to. So you'll either have to know to append the first
Okay.
one to it or not to append it, because if you do append, you won't find it in one location. That's what I'm trying to say. We do it two different ways in two different places.
Mhm.
So if you're pulling a PDF, you gotta have 4. If you're just getting the data, you need 2. Because like the database will always be 2, but when you get an actual document, a file, that's gonna be 4 digits.
Right.
So.
But-
that's what I'm
And-
saying, it's different in two different places.
I think we can.
And that's all
abstract- we can
in the
ab-
back end, so
we-
y'all won't
yeah,
have to worry about
we can
any of
abstract that
stuff,
complexity.
So,
We can abstract that complexity away from you guys. So you don't need to deal with it.
right, that's,
Yeah, you-
that
Yeah.
y'all's
Yeah.
thing,
you
right,
guys don't have to, but I'm
okay,
sure for us getting it, that we keep it straight.
okay.
So,
Then another thing, same for the request number field, we just need to know how to enter it. Do we write R0001? Can we just type in 1 and then it knows it's R0001? If we could have just a little
Some-
indicator of how to type it in.
Context, please.
Um, couple of other quick things, if you're ready.
Ready.
So now on the, this isn't reintro anymore. This is just general, intake screen. I did notice, when we're entering the request, there's a field that says principal attorney. I was doing that. I chose myself. And then when it prints out the sheet, that is described differently. It's assigned attorney. That confused me for a little bit because we've also got drafting attorney, reviewing attorney. We got a lot of different attorney fields. So if those could be labeled the same way, I think probably principal attorney is best. Yeah.
So, okay, I just want to see. Whoop, 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 where am I going? All right, so let's see. We could view this. Oh,
Just for curiosity,
oh goodness.
just for my curiosity, the term principal attorney, does that signify a hierarchical standard or is that just?
No, it's the main attorney working on it. And usually all of those
Uh-huh.
are going to be the same. And right now, we don't even have different attorney fields. We just have, right, we just have initials for the person that took the request. The request tracking doesn't even say who's working on it, which is good. I mean, I don't know. The fact that we've got it is fine. I don't know that we'll even really use the drafting attorney and reviewing attorney. I think principal attorney is probably the only one we'll use. It's the main attorney working on it, the one drafting it, the one reviewing it. Every now and then, if one gets super busy, we may farm a request out to somebody else, in which case we might use those additional fields.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
no, principal attorney is not hierarchical. It's just the one handling that file, that bill. So, I mean, assigned attorney would work just as well. I think either one is fine, just so long as they're the same on the intake form and yeah.
Which do you prefer?
Y'all prefer assigned attorney or principal attorney? Anybody care? Assigned attorney, we'll do it. Okay. For the priority menu, can we have there's a drop-down menu right now that has 1 through 5 and it defaults to 3. Can it default to blank?
As soon as I find it. Oh, here. You just need a blank.
Yeah, just a blank option that it defaults to. Those are my only comments on that. I think the module looks good otherwise. Thank you. Mm.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing once I figure out how to. Can't do. What? This is trash. Why can't I do it? Anybody? Somebody?
Okay, so we thought it might be just helpful to run through just the idea of like, this is a bill and we've already put the request in and gotten past that and we'd be creating the document. But here, this function right here is where we would oftentimes build from another document. And I think y'all know that that feature needs to be in there as far as building from a reintro. And that's where data sets are so important and mean so much to our office, is that we build from any version of the bill that's been passed out of committee, publicly available. So like we might build from a committee sub, we might build from a strike all, we might build from the past the Senate version, or we may go back 2 years and build from the sent to the governor last term, like a different governor. So that's where that reintro feature and that would just pull that bill in and I guess put it into your bill template. And the code would come in and the long title would be done. And all we would add to it would be a short title. And then we would go in and update the law. So Ally, if you want to just go ahead and build a new document from the bill. Yeah, and we've only looked at this once this morning. So we want to start with a code section there. So one of the things we noticed this morning is that there are no keyboard shortcuts. So we can't turn track changes on and off easily. It's under the proofing tab. That's one thing that like right now in Word, we just Control-Shift-E and we're able to turn track changes on and off. Or the LSS has a button up on the it basically has a ribbon that's a saved bookmarks bar, and a lot of people will use that there. And I mean, I think in a draft, you probably do it 30, 40 times, turn it on and off.
Correct me, you can probably speak to this a little bit more than me, but I think we have disabled track changes from being turned on and off because that's how we track the changes to the code. Am I correct in saying that, Alan? I lied. Disregard, scratch that from the record, guys. Ah, okay, carry on. Ignore me.
It's under proofing.
It's under proofing, but in the past we've been, keyboard shortcut, but I also noticed I couldn't use keyboard shortcuts for copying, pasting,
Yeah, you-
cutting things. It wasn't letting me, yeah. No, not for things that are in the document. If I copy something from somewhere else, I can paste it in, but it won't let me just do it within the document. Yeah, so moving things around would be really, really difficult.
Well, this is,
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think that might be tied to the code though. Like Scott had created a specific move function for sections of code because copying it, we need to know what the code parts are. So if you're trying to copy and paste with the keyboard for sections of law, that's why that move, if you click, so if you click on that section of code and it turns
Sure.
yellow.
And
If it's plain text or code.
Right.
you go-
but in the way that we do it now, we already know what's code and what isn't. So it's helpful for us to be able to use it like a Word document because sometimes we may be moving things around that already exist. We're just putting them in new.
th-
Right.
that is the main, what she just said, that is the main point, the main takeaway of this entire thing.
Right. I think the issue is programmatically for the system needs to know what a block of law is. So when you all strike text, we know to put those seashells in and track those changes, right? So if you just copy and paste and the system loses sight
So-
of
so
what
that's
the
an-
piece
that-
of law is.
That's another thing is that right now modularly siloed, we're not siloed. So like the attorney module has this feature here where we can accept and put in the seashells. That's not a thing that the attorneys do in our current program. We send a document that has track changes and then our typists put that in. And maybe they could be locked and not able to control a copy, but even that's not going to work very well. But because like we have, I mean, Ben, Ian and I were up here and we did have, I mean, we did a very important bill, and we had about an hour to do it. And so we had to work in the R document in that feature and we had to move things very, very quickly. It would be impossible to have done what we did without the ability to control copy and move text.
Okay.
So to me, this is an even bigger problem than that one is, and it's just kind of, it makes it very hard to seriously test a program when you can't backspace features of the program. And I mean, I know we've talked about this as an attribute and it's saved, but I'm pressing the backspace key right now and I can't change that number. I mean, we're talking 200 sections in a bill and I've got to be able to change it and I've got to be able to use a backspace key. It's just very hard to test.
It also, this is just a random thing. I've noticed that every time you start a new line, if you hit enter, it's an indent that you can't get rid of.
The template. So that can be changed with the template.
Okay.
That's the way the template set up.
Okay, because that, I mean, there are several things that we need to be flushed left.
You should be able to view, well, maybe not.
Yeah,
You
it
should be
doesn't
able to
show
put
it.
your
It's-
finger on it. Well, yeah, move your tab,
Oh.
move your tab.
Okay.
I mean, it's really annoying
And
to
hit
do
all.
that.
But it doesn't show it. It doesn't show it when you do that.
Yeah, and it still doesn't let you backspace over it or change
No,
it.
if you move your, like on your ruler at the top, your, you know what I'm talking about, your little,
Yeah,
like if you move
Okay.
those, does it?
Ah, okay.
that moves everything though, and not just that one.
Yeah, I think you need to move the other.
This little carrot thing right
and I-
here.
And I think that's a way to override the template is what I'm saying, which
There's a little block.
really, I think
carrot.
we just
You
need to
can
build a
grab that
template that
carrot
reads the
there.
answer there.
Okay. Yeah, that just slows a lot.
Well, I'm just gonna let Ally play around with it. So just make a couple changes and yeah.
Do we have the ability to change the short title when we're in this document? Because normally when we finish a document, we go ahead and write the short title right here. It may not be the same thing that we took when we took the request. Do we just have to edit the request then?
I think so, but I'm wondering if we can give you a short title attribute.
So
That way.
What we'll do, what we do is that ST colon and we put our short title in, and that's where we're siloed. Like the attorney delivers this document to the typist, and then the typist will make the R document and they'll copy and paste that into the final print, correct, Angie? Okay. And that's when the vote type is selected and the general bill is selected and A is selected. I did notice in the request you actually put the deadline and the vote required on the front end, like there's a spot for that. But in ours, when we're taking a request, we don't put vote and deadline in the request at the beginning. Because that could change depending on what you do in the bill.
I also noticed when you put in an effective date, it goes ahead and puts in another indent. Like it's already automatically indented once, so then you have to backspace over that, which isn't a huge deal, but and then I want to say,
That is a template change to that board, that standard
Okay.
language template, so that's easily fixed. Or that, and that's that can be managed by you all as well.
okay.
Yeah.
So, and to your prior questions, I reached out to the engineer that's primarily responsible for doing the text editor and the integration with our system. The guy that, Scott, I don't know if you guys have ever worked with him, but he said that you can use track changes while you're drafting with impunity, but you do have to make sure that you don't turn them on while you're making changes inside of a block of code. So you don't want to use track. If you're doing text outside of the code blocks, that's fine. It works perfectly. But inside, because we have to keep that portion of the text separate for logical reasons to know,
That's going to cause major problems.
is it?
I mean, it just is. Because this block of text, like if I were to type here and do track changes, let's
I
see,
mean,
like whatever I'm supposed to do.
we are keeping track of the changes that you make to the code of state. So,
Okay, so I'm outside the box and I'm making a change and I'm going to say, in addition to this definition.
I can tell by the highlighting that the system thinks you're still inside the block of code.
Well, you would think so. I don't think it does, but maybe it does. This definition, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click here. I think it was under the LSS stuff y'all developed for us is move section. I'm going to move the section and look at there. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to move the section here and paste my law. And I've not changed it. So I can work around this. I could have started before that period, used that period as my old new period, and then put an old period in, but all that's going to cause like major chaos when you're trying to get the seashells right and the underlining right. So that leaves it. It doesn't know it's in, and all I did was turn on track changes. Now, what you're talking about, Alan, is when I'm in here.
Oh, yeah. So
I can
make your changes here.
Yeah, I can type there. It'll.
And now if you copy and if you move the entire code block, your changes should travel with you.
Right, move section.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's not wanting to move it. Oh, it doesn't. You're right, Allison. I think it doesn't have the section header anymore. It disappeared. So we need to restart. So these are just some it's just. All right, so if we insert, it's not on the insert tab. It's LSS. Where do I add the law?
The LSS tab.
Yeah. Go to your custom tab ribbon. Yeah.
Do y'all see the law? No, I think it changes and it disappears. Like these change depending on what I click. So I think right now I'm like in the move function maybe, and this will reset. So see like whatever I'm in, and I don't know how I got in it. I can't insert in sections anymore. But if I go down here, it still doesn't clear up. But if I start something new, I bet it will. Let me try saving it.
If you haven't saved a document, you could probably just reload the entire page and it'll bring you back. If you haven't saved the changes to the document, you could probably just reload it and it'll bring you back to your original state.
It's saved. Let's just do we'll just go back to requests and we'll go to this one and we'll just rebuild. New document, we'll give us another version, bill. I mean, I think where we're at, like some of these ideas like generating a long title, they're there. It's just functionally, the bridging feature is not working yet as far as the distinction between being in code and not. All right, so if I click down here now, I can put my law back in. Can law in. I think 1, 3, 5, 8. And so let's say I want to whenever my bill is going to be to narrowly construe this term. So whenever the term word is used, it shall be delete liberally, narrowly, and I think I put a space in here, narrowly. And this was automatic, like the track changes, like you said, Alan, pop on automatically when I'm in that little block. Narrowly construed and held to include any and all persons. And then I want to put a period here, and I'm going to delete the rest of the text. So we're going to narrowly construe it to all persons. Now I've got 2 periods, so I think I'm going to delete that one. But ooh, look at that. That took it out of the box. The color changed at least. When I move, I bet it leaves that, but you want me to try and move it now? How do I move it? Do I need to put in a new section first? What? Oh, it came back, yeah. When I think it disappears. All right, I'm gonna click it. All right, so I'm gonna click it. I'm gonna put it on line 6. And then, okay, so I can't do Control V. All right, so paste law. Okay, so it did move, it moved that. So now that we're here. So
So if we add something to the end of this.
right.
Sure.
And then those changes could be accepted.
Yeah.
Okay, now inside the block of code, this is part of the problem is that so if I print this and send it to Angie and then.
It's not going to persist or change.
Okay. So. Right. So taking the changes, so go to review changes. This is something that attorneys don't normally have in the module. Only a typist would have that. So you would review the changes, but when this pops up, oftentimes Angie will accept a change without an underline when it's just, well, actually, okay, so our program has an ability to, once changes are accepted, you remove all underlines under the spaces.
So now we're going
Right. But there are also times when I'm making a change to the code that, I mean, we often accept it without underline. I don't know when.
It's not in the code section.
Yeah, like when we make a capital lowercase, you, so if I were to change this term and say always comma whenever, and I made that a small w there, that would not be underlined, and there would need to be a function where Angie could accept with underlining, accept without underlining, or reject the change.
Perfectly off, moving outside of $5.
Yeah.
So.
So when you accept, what is this? Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's a straitjacket like behind your back. It's a non-functional straitjacket. It's not that we're trying to do something that like we're not adjusting to a new system. Like a lot of these features look great. Some of these look great. Not being able to backspace section is hard. But this like this distinction between code and not is very, very difficult.
It's really hard.
And it's going to come down to crunch time that we can't get documents out. But Ian, you wanted me to show accepting the changes. So if I accept and the seashells come up, that's all good there. And then if I accept that one,
Yeah, now, okay, so now that he's accepted.
yeah, that's fine.
So I don't want to give you bad information. Not incorrectly.
Yeah.
So that you guys got very
We-
clear answers.
We just want y'all to be able to see what the issues that we're running into, that we felt like this would be helpful for you to see like our process.
See, now that he is accepted narrowly.
Right.
Try to change that, Ethan.
can't.
I've decided I don't want to use narrowly. I actually want to use a different word.
I not only can't backspace it,
Well, I want to use a
can't
different
change
word.
it. Yeah.
Narrowly is unacceptable. I realized it later.
I mean, I think it converts into an attribute. No, I mean, I want to change my mind. Yeah.
But it's already been accepted. It's no longer redlined.
Now, under
It's now
review changes, let's
underlined
try
with this new
reject. Like,
language.
let's try
And
reject.
I haven't been able to find a way,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
Good. Well, we want it to be, yeah.
And basically what I said off the mic, and it's going to sound extremely unsophisticated, but basically what we want to be able to do is whatever we want, whenever we want, even when we're in a code section. And right now we can't figure out how to, there's so much.
And I think the old system, I don't know anything about Fox Pro or coding or anything else, but that's why it's so imperative for the old system. It just reads that first section line, and it reads it as I don't know if it reads it as a seashell, the number, but we can change the numbers. And I think it just recognizes that, hey, this is code. And then it'll ping it into build status and keep the integrity throughout the program.
So what
But
you're-
there are times that phantoms will show up and the code section will be in the bill, and for some reason, there's not a code that's right in the bill. It doesn't show up on bill status.
Sometimes.
We
but-
found that
but
once or twice.
Generally though, it recognizes I think it must recognize the capital section and then the number, because that's the way it knows how to number them. And then it recognizes the little thing in parentheses at the end. But then after that, it's just a Word document that we can work in as any normal Word document. We're not constrained by the fact that it's a part of the code, and we only have certain options available.
This is interesting. Let's see if I can get back. I'm hitting undo. I think I'm undoing a bunch of codes. Or maybe not. When I hit accept this change, I don't think any deletion marks come up. So it just because it's at the end. There's something about the end of that box that's causing some consternation in the program. One thing I did was and I did it with Angie in there just this morning. We really haven't had much time to look at this. We were just looking at it this morning. Under LSS, I think it's here. You click long title and it'll generate and pick up this code section. And so when it does that, it comes in and that's fine. We talked yesterday about how that needs to be uppercased. It needs to have after the comma, the last comma, it needs to have a space and 3 question marks to say what you're doing. Well, it's actually 2. Yeah, it's the word 2 and then space and 3 question marks. Well, here, I'll just put it in here. I assume I think we can edit now. So it would look like that is how it generates in our current system with a semicolon. And then when the long title generates, we always say, and for related purposes. That's the last phrase. And does it have a semi?
Period.
Period.
That's our.
The being enacted is already there in the template. So this really could be a piece that maybe comes in the template, but you'll always have a long title. Y'all can figure that out. That's not, I mean, we don't care whether it's always there already or not. We're always going to say and for related purposes. But so this would be all capped. But then, so say let's put a new law if we can. Let's put some more law in. It's not capped right now. It needs to be all caps. And that's another keyboard shortcut that the typists use is like in Word, you can do Control-Shift-F3 and you toggle through your capitalizations. You go no caps, you do every word capped, you do sentence caps and all caps. I think it's 3 or 4 different things you can toggle through. And we always use that to toggle to all caps in the long title. Angie was saying the wrapping of words with hyphens.
Then need that house control hyphen to be able to keep that word or code section together.
Yeah. If you type control hyphen, it wraps it all to the next line instead of breaking it.
That's important. Half the code section is on one line, and then the other part of it is on the next. We want it all together.
So I just tried to put another code section and this is what I got. Instead of the lead in, well, maybe I need to save it. Do I need to save or refresh or something? I put in a new, a law. It was I think it was one of the 3 y'all got in there, 1365 or something like that. Do I need to refresh the attributes to get ASG to look right? The word ASG came in instead of the lead in like down here. Let me try saving. Let me resolve attributes. No. So I had generated my long title, and often after I do that, I may want to add a code section. And that's what I was going to do is just regenerate and show you all that process, but I don't know if that had to do with it or not. But I don't know if there's a prompt or not, but I can regenerate, but there's nothing for it to regenerate. We'll see what it does. Long title. So up here, when I did append this morning, I had 2 code sections and I already done my long title. It did the long title 3 times. I don't know what it'll do here. I'll just click overwrite. Yeah, it's not pulling this in, but let me restart. We can get lost on that. Oh, it did. Look, it pulled in 1365, but it didn't, it knows that this is supposed to be 1365. But it doesn't have this language to key it in. So it did get 1365 there. You're right, Allie. So what I was going to show you with that is on our current LSS, we have undo, and then we have a drop down that shows us the codes. And it's often like when you do a long title, it could be pages of codes and you have to select them all and undo all of those. Right now in the program, I think I can, when I was with Angie, I pressed undo 6 times And then I got the text to show on the screen on the 7th press to undo that text. And then I pressed undo 5 more times until I saw what I had done before that, if that makes sense. So like phantom codes on both sides of what you want. If that like, it's not really undoing building long title, it's undoing all the individual codes, which is no problem. That's how our current system is too. We can just click the drop down and see all of those codes and go back. That's right. That's right. So like if I press undo here, I don't think anything's gonna happen. It's just gonna be a quiet code. Undo, undo. That's the 3rd click, 4th click, 5th click, 6th click, 7th click, 8th click. Well, it may be broken. I don't know. I'll keep undoing. Yeah, I think it messed it up when I brought that other code section in. Let me see if I can recreate it for y'all. Yeah, let me just start again on a new bill. I think I can do another new one. Let's put 2 code sections in. Yeah, y'all got insert law here, and then it's on the LSS tab. I like it in both places too. That's good. I think we talked about that last time, that it's good to have it in both places. Just put all 3 code sections in. Let's just try, I haven't done reenacted and amended. Let's do that one. And we'll do that. Well, we'll do different ones. We'll do brought forward, and let's try, I don't know what that would be without. Okay. Well, that's actually, that might be something that that rings a bell, that we had kind of asked for maybe that's the solution that Scott came up with, that like when we want to use the code section as a model, maybe we select without insertion text and it doesn't come in as law, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, let's do is
I don't want to mislead you guys. I'm talking with Scott now and getting the ins and outs of what he's done here.
Sure. So here they are. It looks like they came in, is reenacted and amended as follows, is brought forward as follows, and then is amended as follows. So all those came in, they look generally correct. Oh, one thing we were seeing is that, and I don't know if this is a database issue on our side as far as how it's pulled in, is the subsection, the template gives it that automatic over, and then the subsection is over. So subsections are actually over an inch instead of a ½ inch. And I'm sure that's going to magnify once you have, but we don't, these are the only code sections in here. So we don't even have like the most complicated code section. We go out to 7 or 8 different item numbers. Like you got subsections, and then you got paragraphs, subparagraphs, items, sub-items. There's something after that. So each one of those is probably going to be over too far. And you've also got it there, but for some reason it doesn't show textually. Maybe it does. See, I'm trying to, Control Z worked there. To get undo, that's good. So if I build the long title from here, enact to reenact and amend section 135 Mississippi Code of 1972. And I'm not going to type in it. I don't want to type in it because I think that might have done something to it. So then it would be space 2 space 3 question marks semicolon space to bring forward, and then the same thing. And then we put in for related purposes there. Right, the question marks. It generates question marks that we fill in our purpose. So I'm going to just rebuild it and click this append. And it brings it back in. And then I'm going to show you the undo feature. So that was on the first click. 2. Yeah, I'm still clicking undo and I'm not getting back to that last build. So it's just the undo. If we had a drop down to be able to see how far we need to go back, that would be helpful. What was the other thing you were saying? Bring it in without insertion. We could do that. Yeah, and because I have the code sections in, I can't go back and get those 3 code sections, so I can't re-bridge them in, and there might be a time that I want to bring in those definitions, and then I want to bring in that code section again and work on it. So I don't think I can put any more law back in here. Are there other things that you were thinking about? Did I hit a lot of them? Yeah.
It's, in looking at this, it reminds me, I used to do medical transcription, typed autopsy reports for state pathologist. I created my own template in order to do it. I don't know what the template looks like. I hadn't seen the whole thing myself and played with it. But listening to this and looking at it, what I did on my template that helped me, I put everything in that I knew was standard, which we're doing, and I know that. But I'm wondering if there's any way to add other things that we know could possibly be in there that y'all can delete as you create it. That way it's a reminder, do we want this in there? Like, for instance, your effective date at the bottom, standard text already automatically there. Same thing with,
Yeah, the template.
Yeah, y'all can manage your own templates, so.
oh,
you-
okay.
You talk to these guys and they can make whatever you want to work in the
Got it.
templates. Mhm.
So, okay. But isn't there an automatic template that pops in and then you build on their template? Okay, but what I'm saying,
That highlights. I mean, that kind of highlights what Ally was saying over here with the reintros is like, once we start doing reintros, I mean, we're pulling in 40 sections of law. So we're getting into, and I don't know how the system's gonna import a reintro and then highlight it all and be law. And then 10 of those, randomly spaced at different sections and numbers and everything else have been amended 3 or 4 times since. So we've got to rebridge 10 of those, which means not move. We just need to be able to delete a section and bridge in a new section. And I don't think that's there functionally yet. It may be, but we don't really have enough code sections to even play with that to see. Okay. So just delete law. But it. Okay. But it's going to be able to pull a reintro in and code all of that as law when it comes in, like the 50 sections from 2015. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be critical. Yeah. So is it going to work? And if we save it and send it forward and we've reintroed something from last year, what's going to pop on bill status? Like, will the code sections be there on bill status? Could it generate a long title?
Going forward, once you
Right.
use our system, then we're gonna know that it was there because we'll have signified it as such. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, but I mean, we are supposed to work a plan together to be able to pull in that historical data. I mean, that was always the plan. That's, the whole point of the reintro button was to be able to pull in that historical data and build documents off of.
Right. I mean,
Yes, and that is true. You'll be able to pull the document text in its entirety, and it'll be an exact copy of what it was, but the system won't necessarily know what's a block of law and what's not.
which is maybe why we ought to
Yeah.
look back at what's a block of law and not, and just go back to not, and just see if there's a way to keep integrity. Otherwise, I don't know if there is or not, because it is critical to do
Yeah.
that. Like, it's impossible. not-
Let's say they do a lot of reintros. I mean, they're not starting from scratch. But let's say that they do 500 bills that are reintro. Well, guess what? Next year in your system, it's also not gonna know that was wrong because they reintroed it. They're not gonna, like, you'd just be recreating the document if you had to go back and delete everything and start new.
Well, So, so for example, if I'm doing, let's say there's a big reintro, 10 sections, 10 code sections. 5 of those were amended in other bills last year. So when I do the reintro, I create it from the bill last year. It brings in all 10 of those code sections, but 5 of them are already obsolete. At that point, I go section by section and I delete the obsolete section and then re-bridge it from our database, from our current updated database, and then go back manually and make the same changes that had been made in the bill before, just to the current code language. So that's what we need to be able to do again. And I think what Ethan was saying, how did you say it? Revisit the assumption that we need.
Yeah, I mean,
The-
I understand why you want code to be protected in the system because you want it to show up in bill status and all the other programs. Our current system does that. I don't know how it does it. And it allows us to use historical data. If we can't use historical data going forward, then I mean, that's going to be a major issue. And it's not just that like we'd have to build 1 year's worth of historical data. It's that Chairman Wiggins or Chairman Hobson is going to come to me and say, Ethan, we did this 3 years ago. And well, we'll say Chairman blank, neither of those names. 3 years ago could be anything from last year to 10 or 15 years ago. And it's just, I mean, I get it. I've worked here 8 years. It doesn't feel like I've been here 8 years. It feels like I'm been here 3 years. Like, I mean, some ways it feels like I've been here longer. So we're gonna always be pulling historical data.
Well, so I guess the assumption I'm wondering if we can revisit is, when we talk about protecting the integrity of the code sections, currently we've got a database that we update every year based on the way the bills are amended. They are protected in the database, but then once we pull them into our drafts, we can do whatever we want to them. And it doesn't change their status in the database. They're still the same way in the database, but we want to be able to work within those code sections once they're in our drafts as if they're any other text. And that's the sense I'm getting, is that is the biggest obstacle right now, because I'm getting the sense that from your perspective, it doesn't seem like it can even work that way. But I'm wondering if it can, if maybe it really can.
I'm conversing with the architects right now, and I'm basically discussing the possibility of allowing you to work with blocks of code as if they were any other text. And then at some point after or before you release that document, saying, hey, I'm going to highlight this. This is a block of code, and maybe even signify the section number that it belongs to. The devil's in the details with that. And then I'm going to also talk to them about, specifically for Mississippi, what we're doing downstream from these documents to make sure that when it comes to codification, so that the changes that get enacted into law during a session to blocks of your law, how that, and I'm sorry, I haven't been involved in that, but how does codification work? Is that something that's going to be a manual process, or is it going to be automated?
Well, maybe.
So just if I may, back up just a bit. The reason we treat blocks of code like we do as a special sort of creature inside of these documents is because when we get to the codification step, we need to be able to know when we look at a document, hey, right? So, and that's why in the past, we've treated them differently while you're doing the drafting. Now, can we reverse that process?
How about,
I'm asking about that.
how about this idea? If the bill dies, nothing we did to it matters. Okay. So what if, enrolling, and I think we're talking about enrolling, is that this afternoon? Okay. What if the enrolling process is when we put the final touches on it to send it to the governor? What if during that process, we do something, every code section that the bill changes, we put a marker at the very end of it that indicates this is where the code section stops?
Or some similar action, yes.
Something like that.
something
Something, so
that,
during the entire process, we're free to work with it, and it's only at the very end that we've identified it so that the system can recognize the changes.
okay, yeah. Let me, I'm clearly not going to have an answer for that in the next few minutes or probably even days.
Will let us pull the document, the data from previous history
Uh,
in, it would stay text until the enrolling, where you would then mark it up as text.
The only thing we would need to figure out at that point is sometimes the same code section is amended different ways by different bills. And but I mean, that happens, and sometimes they conflict, in which case one knocks out the other one, and that's fine. That's how it works. Other times they can be merged, which is something that the code committee does a few months after the session. And anyway, no, the system may do that automatically. It may be able to do that automatically. It may just make all of the changes, since they're not overlapping, since they're not conflicting. It may just pull the changes from the various bills into one harmonized section, which is what we currently do manually.
And part of that process already involves Angie analyzing it all and me analyzing it all, and Ronnie and Tiffany and others in the house. And what they do is they actually, where you have a code section that's been amended by multiple laws, they'll go into the system, they'll unmark it. And it will not, what's called strip. It's called strip ASG in the old Fox programs. And we go into the card file, we unmark those code sections, and we don't strip them until the code committee has met. And I develop a document that we then input into the data set and say, this is the law and this is the code that's been voted on by the code committee.
I was just thinking, is it beneficial to have some kind of flag that pops up to alert you that this is being amended in this bill in addition? That way, it would be kind of an automatic.
Yes. Probably not a bad idea if we go forward with something on the enrolling side. I mean, that seems to be a solution that would really help the drafting process and make this module simpler.
I think a lot of these tiny little issues that we're finding in this and this and this, I think a lot of it could be solved if we can just work with it as word text and then identify it as code at the very end during enrolling. If we can find a way to do
I think
that.
some of that would certainly help. And I don't know if
remove all that cumbersomeness from the drafters. Yeah, I'm going to talk very seriously about that when we get back to Richmond and see what we can come up with. So.
Would it still be able to build a long title and show in bill status the code sections? Because
well, see, that's just it. We're still going to have to, there's a couple problems here. So when you're pulling something in the reintro, I assume what's happening is you're pulling a bill from a prior session and you're pulling it as your starting point for your current session. So we're going to pull that in. Obviously, we'll have no idea in that what is code and what's not. So that's a whole separate problem. But given that, if you use our tool to pull code in, and then we allow you to treat it like plain text and take away all that the consternation around that, then we can still say programmatically, when you've pulled this in, we'll have knowledge that this is code, and then that will help you with the long title building.
Yeah.
The other way to go around that, and which might help you with the reintro, is the ability to go to an existing document, highlight a block of code, and then tell the system, hey, this is a block of code. It's not marked as such, but it is a block of code. And that way you could get that feature and functionality when you do the reintro. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. I don't know. But I
I'll
think
give
step
you-
one is to,
I think Ian's got something to show you, but
okay.
I want to give you an example from this session. I'm trying to remove confidences out of it in my mind. So like Chairman A was presenting the bill from the well. And he was getting ready. We were coming up on the calendar on the bill, and we were probably 15 bills away. You never know how long that's going to be. They may skip forward and be at it in 30 seconds. It may take 2 hours to get to it. We knew it was imminent. Nothing had been drafted for Chairman B's idea. Chairman B went to Chairman A and said, hey, the House sent us half of the idea that we sent them as a full package 3 years ago. I'd like to amend it. And it was 25 pages long, and there was no way I could pull those code sections in and do it manually drafting. But I'd already done it 2 or 3 years ago, and it was our position. And what I was able to do in what would have taken a week or several days to do was just build from that data set in 24. And I was able to tell Chairman B, hey, why don't you just ask A if like we can just do our bill that we already sent to the House 2 or 3 years ago? It went into law this year. And that's a change that would not have been possible without data. And that happens all day, every day on the floor for sure. And it's oftentimes like one attorney will be working on something like that and say, hey, we've done this idea. Like this is the position. It's very tweakable. We can start from here. We'll be working that conversation in the workroom. Another senator will be hitting another attorney, and they'll be doing that on their laptop. And so it's these ideas where this is, if we're not able to pull in historical data and use it as code and everything else, is going to be absolutely paralyzing. And I think that's probably nationwide that these ideas come up and the drafting attorneys are able to do it much quicker with the historical data. I don't think that's a Mississippi specific thing. I think at some point you're making changes on the floor very fast. And so we would have gotten half the idea, but and instead we got the full concept that the Senate had done 2 or 3 years ago, and the House loved it. They liked it, and they took it, and it's going into law now.
The clients that I've worked with, we don't necessarily do drafting on the floor, but they do, they have a box on it that the legal stands in and basically makes amendments on the fly for floor amendments. And
Yeah, and that's what it was. It was a
Yeah.
strike all floor amendment. So I was able to do a 40-page strike all that normally would have taken me 2 days to do and get in a state, but we were able to just strike all the bill just right there. That's who we like. That's what we're doing on the floor. So it was a matter of an amendment. We sent the amendment over proposed, the House accepted it, and then we engrossed and rolled it.
as the old adage goes, let's eat this elephant one piece at a time. So I'm gonna, first thing I'm gonna work with is getting rid of the.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that for you context. Ian's
Gotcha,
got some.
understood.
Okay, I wanted to go back to what we were talking about before about what the system recognized with respect to a code section and what it doesn't. Ethan had asked if we do it the way I suggested, would it still be able to build the long title? It should be able to, and I think we need to make a distinction between what it recognizes and what it doesn't. There's the existence of a code section and there's the content of the code section. And what I'm proposing is that until the enrolling process, we don't worry about having it recognize the content of the code section, but it will always recognize the existence of the code section, which it does now. And that's, if you look on the screen, basically all of this that I'm highlighting should be, I should be free to type in it as if it's a Word document, except this blue right here. This is what yesterday Connie said we need to have that. That's what allows the system to recognize that there's a code section there.
What about the distinction between what you're doing to the code section, like amending and reenacting versus repealing versus amending?
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
Would that
yeah,
be eliminating
and
is the question?
And I actually, I mean, that's a good question. I actually don't I don't know the way it works because the way we do, I mean, I think I think it is. I think that is the way it's bridged in, which is all in this little blue code right here.
Okay.
Because, yeah, hang on just a minute. I can't remember, and I can go back to my desk over lunch and try to see. We'll do our long title. We'll have it generate the long title after we've drafted the bill or after we've done enough of the drafting for it to be able to recognize what we're doing. So if I take this and I delete reenacted and then have it generate the long title, I think it recognizes the wording and it will say to amend 1358 rather than to reenact and amend. So it's not just this thing right here. It actually, I think, reads this whole thing. Right, that the content of the code section starts on that's where it starts. Although we're still free, even if it recognizes this, we're still free to change it. And it just reads it and it recognizes the language.
I don't know if this is relevant, but you just made me think where it says in caps, section 1, the boldness of it versus not being bold had something to do with the program reading and understanding what's happening and also whether it's underlined or not.
I think it is. Whenever we click renumber sections, you can follow our program and it'll highlight real quickly down the section numbers and it'll adjust the numbers. So I think it's reading it, but I'm not sure how.
Yeah. I can actually try it right now if you want. Okay. This is Allie's laptop, so we'll call this Allie's amazing draft. Okay. Okay, and let's bridge some of my favorite sections. Let's see, 2775, 2765. Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, so we've got that. Okay. So now let's see. I'm gonna manually include reenacted and amended. Okay, so did you saw how I manually added reenacted and? I'd bridged it as just amended, but I just typed these two words. So now I'm gonna see what happens when I build the long title. It got it. So it read what I had typed and it recognized this word and put it up there.
But it doesn't care about content at this stage.
Right. It doesn't know what I'm going to do to this. Yeah, it reads whatever we have here. And I think it must know between the word section and then this tag, it knows to read that. And that's how it knew to put that word. Yeah, and you can also see what we were talking about earlier. You can see how it's all everything is capitalized, and you have 1972 comma to question mark, and that just signals to us when you've got a really long title, these jump out, and we know that we need to replace those with text just saying what they actually do. And then at the end, the semicolon and for related purpose, for every bill, not resolutions, but for every bill, it ends with that. Okay. That's fine.
Oh, no, that's completely up to you guys, how you wanna do time.
What's the question?
Getting this information, or guys?
No, this is great. I think, next steps for us, I mean, we're gonna get these recordings, right, Brittany? So I think what we need to do is we need to get back with the dev team and kind of walk through what our options are. We don't want to certainly overpromise things that we can't deliver, right? So we need to talk to the smart people back home and kind of we'll watch this with them. We'll go through this with them and we'll kind of think about next steps. I am assuming the house is going to have very similar, if not the same concerns.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk again tomorrow, I guess.
yes, yeah. No, but this is great feedback.
I could renumber a section.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, actually. Oh, yeah, we add the effective date.
We can.
Well, they're,
Yeah,
I think,
we can.
yeah. Yeah, so when we add our effective date, standard
Yeah.
text, July 1st, insert. That's how it does. Now, I guess I was going to ask about that. In your standard text, when we add this, it's got brackets and then it says, like next FY, next fiscal
And
year.
I think that's just a placeholder in that standard language template that should be an actual attribute.
So when we print it, it will say whatever the year is. It
think-
fills that in.
Well, that template specifically needs to be updated like that.
Okay.
Those brackets are just plain text in that
Gotcha.
template. We would need to go, or someone would need to go into that template and add the attribute in.
Okay.
I think that was probably created before
Yeah.
the attributes were, so someone put placeholder text in there is what. my
Okay.
assumption.
And so it also, the default is when we bridge a section, it doesn't number them. It just has the asterisk. And so then when we number them, go to utilities, format bill. Somebody else may know the answer to what the difference is. I've always been told to renumber sections. I've always been told to choose with. But I don't. Usually prepositions have nouns after them. I'm not sure what with or without. I'm not quite sure what that means.
There's a button. Just
Okay.
do the renumber by itself. Without.
Oh, okay. Wait, wait,
To the right.
right here. Okay. All right. Well, they say to do this. There you go.
But it tracks down through the bottom and you'll end up at the bottom. So I'm assuming it's looking for section period.
Yeah,
And
that- yeah.
renumbering what would be the shell. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes total sense, having that point of reference, like they were saying yesterday, when reordering sections, I can see that getting real nasty real quick, so.
But I mean, y'all's newfangled stuff, the attributes would be great. I mean, if we could add an attribute and have an internal reference that also updates when we hit renumber, that'd be great. Because a lot of times we say under section 3 of this act, and then when we renumber and if 3 becomes 5, and that attribute is tied, when you put it in, it's tied to whatever section,
And 3 becomes 5.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And a great ad, but the bigger thing is being able to backspace too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like, we're kind of untestable on some level.
Does it automatically save every so many minutes for us?
No.
Can it do that?
That would definitely be preferable to having it pop up and remind us to save, which is what it does now. A lot.
It's event driven, like it can remind you to save, but you have to. click on
Yeah.
it to save.
I don't want to be reminded to save.
I'm sorry, you want your documents to auto save?
If they can, that's great. If they can't, I save pretty compulsively anyway. I don't know about others. I mean, I'll be typing. Yeah, I'll be thinking, I'm like, what am I going to type next?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll type Control S,
So now,
um,
What we do have built into the system is if for some reason, let's say you left your workstation unattended for a couple hours, And when you come back, your session has died and you try to do something you save, you can't.
Mhm.
And you have to navigate away and you think, oh my goodness, I've lost all this work. When you come back, there'll be something that pops up that says.
That was that big red thing you
Yeah,
just seen.
says,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
things didn't get saved. Do you want to put
Yeah.
them into the document and save them now? So you do have that functionality. We have found that when we try to do autosave for people, on a document, it's a double-edged sword. That sometimes people hate it, sometimes they love it.
That's fine, but even if we don't do it, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I personally don't want to be reminded every few minutes to save. Yeah. Every so often is every 2 minutes, based on my use of it yesterday. It was so much, it
That's
was
obviously
extremely
annoying.
interfered a
That's
whole
obviously
lot.
very annoying, yeah.
Yeah.
But there were also the reminders in between functions. If you're not saved, caution, you may lose data. Those were pretty good, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Because like when I was moving from like one document back to the request, it said caution not saved,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
fine.
If something you're about to do is going to
You're gonna
potentially
lose
mess you
data,
up, that's
yeah.
different. Mhm. There was something else I was thinking of. I think it was when I added the language. So let me see. Someone can remind, oh, standard language. Okay. Insert standard language. Similar to when we were talking originally about all those different actions that we enter. Can we have either alphabetized or thematically organized this list right here? This list of standard text. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Can I say one thing? Auto text. Is there a way that you can have auto text pop up after you've typed the first 3 or 4 letters of a word or a phrase?
In the document itself or in the form?
Within the, while they're typing, while we're all typing, I mean, with anywhere in it. That saved me so much time in medical transcription.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's a feature built into text control that you can toggle on and off or not. I'd have to check. When I say text control is the text editor.
That keeps you from having to type some of the same words over and over, the full word.
One of the things that I think was really good about your addition with the effective clause is the templates too. So like a lot of my appropriation bills and things like that can be set up as a template. And not only that, we could have like 4 or 5 to pick from. So you won't be typing the words under the new session. So like I envision a passage bill, a July 1st bill, a January 1st bill, and you just start with whatever bill you want. Yeah. Multiple templates. You just build your document from July 1. Yeah. And then all the money bills that we retype a bunch of times, I build from an insert, but not everybody knows how to do that. It would just be an insert that everybody can see.
Not that I don't want to continue this in this wonderful discussion, but we will be talking with them again tomorrow at 10 a.m. All right, so please continue to do what you're doing at your desk. This has been excellent feedback. I'm glad we have it recorded so that they can give it back to their developers. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys. I mean, you are really bringing things to, especially my attention, that's just really thinking outside of the box and how we've made assumptions about the way we treat blocks of code and so forth inside of it. It's not just you, it's all of our clients. And I really appreciate the insight.
Thank you. We appreciate it too.